posted. For late-breaking news, weather, sports, and traffic, sometimes before we can even make it live on the air, sign up for our Twitter feed at KU Radio or on Facebook at Kutztown University Radio. From KUR News, I'm Mike Regensberger. Have a great day.
Any views or opinions expressed on KUR are not necessarily those of Kutztown University, Kutztown University Student Government, Kutztown University Student Services Incorporated, KUR staff and management, or other affiliated organizations.
He fires, and it is caught for a touchdown. It's gone! And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. Are you kidding me?
And another good Tuesday afternoon. Tyler Werner Show right here at Kutztown Radio. For one more time this summer. This is, I guess, what you would call the end of the summer season here of Tyler Werner, Season 2. I guess I'd like to call it as next week we'll be in the middle of the beginning of the fall semester here at Kutztown University. So next week, I mean, there's, as far as the station goes, I don't know if there's going to be a Tyler Werner show due to the the fact that everybody, all the students are going to be back, and we're going to be getting the show schedules together based off everybody's class schedules and this and that. So I don't know if there's going to be a Tyler Werner show next week to talk about Philadelphia Eagles after their third preseason game coming up on Thursday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But nevertheless, I mean, I would think that maybe by the second week of classes that schedule will be ironed out for everybody, and we can talk more Eagles football before the regular season begins. But nevertheless, I mean, we got, right here, right now, we'll talk, obviously, a lot of Eagles, as basically right now that's all we're really talking about, unless you're talking about baseball. And I'm not even talking about the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm talking about the Little League World Series of baseball going on. With more I think more people right now are focused on that league than than the Phillies and the MLB and their season. So but we roll on here with Philadelphia Eagles after a second preseason game. And of course, we talked last week about how there was a lot of concern coming off of that first preseason game. I mean, maybe not for me personally, but from just a lot of fans, listening to sports radio myself, hearing people call in on other stations, about Foles threw 2 interceptions and this and that. I'm not an overreactor, I guess you could say. I try to, I guess, react when, I think there needs to be a reaction. And, I think Foles put some doubts to rest, at least on his end, in this second preseason game. I said last week, the first preseason game, I realized that the offensive line and Foles, they weren't too used to the contact, I guess you could say. They weren't too used to, the fact that Foles could get sacked, as we saw in the first preseason game. He had he was forcing the ball out, and I think as a reaction to this, sudden reality that, I'm going to get sacked here to the ground if I don't, get rid of the football or something. Because, obviously Foles isn't a very mobile quarterback. That's one of his downfalls, one of his weaknesses. He's not very, shifty in the pocket, where other quarterbacks may, be, and, be able to throw defenders off that are coming in for a sack or whatever. So, that coupled with the fact that last season, Foles was criticized for maybe holding on to the ball too long. And that maybe being something in the offseason that Chip Kelly has wanted to, stress with Foles about getting rid of the ball quicker, maybe, and this and that, because he's not very mobile, and at times last year that was a problem. He'd take a key sack, and suddenly a 2nd and 5 or something could become a 3rd and long, and or a 3rd and 5, and they could be pushed back 10 yards because of a big sack and the battle with field position that could be crucial. So obviously that's one of the things that they're looking at, I think, with improving with Foles here in the offseason. But again, so now coming back, knowing all that after the first preseason game, last week they were doing the joint practices with the New England Patriots. So they were getting used to this, maybe they were getting a little more used to, practicing against, other teams rather than, practice against your own defense. And maybe that helped a little more with this second preseason game against the Patriots. As now, the offensive line, they know what's more expected of them. They were a little better than obviously the first week, but again, Lane Johnson not being there because of his suspension, that does, that's a bit of a hole in his backup. Barbary is just not, quite clicking right now, and that could be a weakness there, and it showed. He didn't, obviously not as effective as Lane Johnson there in that position. So obviously that's a bit of a concern as far as this Eagles offense goes. Looking back at this second preseason game with the New England Patriots. Now, as far as other concerns goes with the Eagles offense, I'll give you one, another one that was obvious. The 2 outside receivers were missing in the game because of injuries. Now, Riley Cooper last week, we kind of knew about that. Early on in the week, he was starting to practice in a limited capacity as they were entering the joint practices with the New England Patriots. I mentioned that last week, and he didn't play in this preseason game, but it sounds like he'll play for the for this next game coming up this Thursday. We'll see how much. Obviously the starters are expected to play the entire first half with this this third preseason game. That's normally how it works, and likewise with the Steelers. Big Ben and Antonio Brown, who's Antonio Brown had a Pro Bowl year, I think, last year. Great, pretty good weapon on that receiving core. So, but so you had Riley Cooper out. Plus, last week you had Jeremy Maclin, supposedly on a play where he supposedly reportedly burned, Darrelle Revis on a play. Supposedly Jeremy Maclin hurt his ankle on that play, and I don't know really. I don't really think anything of he burned Revis on a play like that. I mean, it's preseason. It's scrimmage workouts. It's not anything serious, and I don't quite think he's gonna burn him in a real game situation when it comes to the real deal. But anyhow, so Jeremy Maclin, another nagging injury, of course, coming off the ACL injury from last year. But, this year trying to prove himself on a 1-year deal. And, you got a nagging injury here and there with Jeremy Maclin. And to me, that's a bit of a concern. You wonder if today he's going to sneeze and pull a hamstring or something. It's just, I hate to say it, but it's these nagging injuries with Jeremy Maclin, and for his sake, getting he's playing this year to hopefully get to reestablish himself as a good, reliable wide receiver, and if he has trouble staying healthy throughout the regular season, obviously that's going to hamper those maybe that possibility. But we'll see how. I don't know. It's hopefully he plays in this next game with against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then hopefully Foles will have his full receiving core to throw to. maybe it's just a bit of an injury bug for Jeremy Maclin right now. I don't know. Hopefully, come time for the regular season, he's not getting hurt too often or whatever. And maybe it might sometimes it just comes down to toughness too. I don't know. I mean, not that I'm calling Jeremy Maclin soft or whatever, but he's no Anquan Bolden, who's just like, he's out there and, he's just a physical receiver, and he plays hurt. Who was it? Bill Parcells, I think, is who would ask in practices, are you hurt or are you injured? And play hurt. You can play hurt, but, so I don't know. But, the bottom line is, this receiving core kind of needs to be out there, I think, as far as Riley Cooper and Jeremy Maclin goes, because we saw in this second preseason game here, a depleted wide receiving core. Now you got Jordan Matthews in the slot, who he had a much more solid performance than his first preseason game. He didn't look too sharp in the first preseason game, but this game, he had 9, 10 receptions. He had over 100 yards, and I believe a touchdown. So he's showing some promise out there. Was Jordan Matthews in the slot? So he was maybe the only starting wide receiver, the only guy who's going to start in the regular season that was out there as far as the receivers goes. Because, depth-wise, behind, without Riley Cooper and Jeremy Maclin, they had MoMA out there. I don't even want to attempt to, pronounce his first name, because I know I'll botch it. So, with all due respect to him,
Who is this?
But MoMA, a nice delivered pass in the first quarter to MoMA from Foles, and MoMA fumbles. Later on, MoMA has another fumble. So I don't know how reliable he is really as a backup, let alone put in a starting position like he was here against the New England Patriots. With guys like Darrelle Revis in the secondary. Who else they got? They got Brad Smith out there, Jeff Mayo, who might not even make the team, or Aurelius Ben. Without, again, the loss of Deshaun Jackson, which was by design here from Chip Kelly and the Eagles organization. Definitely, if this season does not go as planned, as in, if they don't win the division this year, which to me ultimately means they don't make the playoffs because there's no wild card coming out of this division, then obviously there's going to be huge backlash, I think, and the loss of Deshaun Jackson on the field and not getting anything in return for him is going to be, one of those things that people will, obviously rip Chip Kelly for, rightfully so. If they don't have Deshaun Jackson out there, or they don't have, because they don't have Deshaun Jackson out there, and the depth-wise, they're little shallow, and I think we saw that without Riley Cooper and Jeremy Maclin out there. At least, Foles performed well. He didn't throw any interceptions. If he threw another interception in this preseason game, I would imagine that, now he threw 2 interceptions the first game. Now he threw another one against the Patriots. I would imagine more people would continue to be concerned. But Foles was 8 for 10, threw a touchdown pass. And they had good field position after the block punt. But nevertheless, Foles giving a more standard performance here that you would expect out of him. And then again, this is a small sample size here, playing one quarter. And again, I kind of say that last week. It was a small sample sizes here with the preseason. You'll get a little more of a bigger sample size this coming week when for the entire first half. The starters will be out there. The starters who are healthy, I guess I should say, because you talk about the receiving core and, again, who knows, when somebody's going to get banged up. But fortunately, it sounds like to me that, all the starting wide receivers will be out there for the first time. And, again, like maybe, the guys that maybe Foles has more chemistry with as well. So that could obviously help out. But, and you would talk about, talk about chemistry. The tight ends for the Eagles, continue to look solid, solid and very promising in this preseason game. Brent Selleck having a couple nice receptions. The one reception he got for the first down, I think his helmet got ripped off in the process, and Selleck just stands up and points down the field of first down, and
That was awesome.
yeah, without his helmet on. So that was awesome. And Zach Ertz again, continuing to look good in the preseason. I believe he caught a touchdown pass. A 6-yarder from Foles to Zach Ertz, I think, a little later on in the game. So, obviously the tight end's looking good, and obviously, again, they're not overusing LaShawn McCoy or the running game. Something that's pretty obviously that was kind of trademark last year. The running game, the screen passes. I guess not doing too much of that so as to preserve their running, their Sproles and LaShawn McCoy. So, that's again something you would expect out of the Eagles in preseason there. So, but then again, of course, the defense, not surprisingly, getting kind of torn apart by Tom Brady and this and that. Although Kerry Williams did have an interception, and of course he's outspoken when it comes to the New England Patriots, calling them cheaters a couple of weeks ago and this and that, and but I'm sure he felt good, and albeit in a preseason game after picking off Tom Brady there, in that first quarter. So no, I can't. There'd be no point in me giving away the phone number today since once again Mike is not here, but. Facebook.com/Tyler Werner Show. If you want to, post some thoughts on this past week's preseason game, the Eagles going forward, this and that, as we got the first break here. So, with that in mind, we will continue this discussion on the Eagles talk on the other side.
This is the 5th grade class at Lowers Park Elementary, and you're listening to KUR.
Erasure. Live in the Violet Flame Tour. September 21st, 8 p.m., the Santander Performing Arts Center. Erasure. Andy Bell. Vince Clark. Playing all the hits. Erasure. Reserve seats are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Charge by phone, Ticketmaster retail locations in the Santander Arena box office. For more info, 610-898-SHOW or log on to slpconcerts.com. September 21st, the Santander Performing Arts Center. Erasure. More at erasureinfo.com. Produced by SLP Concerts.
It is 3:22 right here on the Tyler Werner Show on Kutztown Radio. We got all kinds of Eagles football talk here, as this is the, I guess of the summer, the last edition during this, the course of the summer months here, as I would call them. September. I mean, to me, September is the start of fall, really, and football. And I mean, I drive by, the Dunkin' Donuts on the way up here, and they say, and it says, pumpkin coffee is here. And it just goes to show you, like, like fall is like really essentially right around the corner.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so which means football is, the regular season is right around the corner. Just got a couple weeks until that. So, but anyways, this past weekend, every now and then I bring up about other radio stations and people that call in. I was at 97.5 The Fanatics Fantasy Fest with one of the fellow listeners of the show, Batman Wayne, down in Philadelphia at Xfinity Live. They had quite an event with the radio hosts there, and they had ESPN's Sal Paolantonio there.
I agree.
Right there listening to a Q&A session with him, who predicts that the Eagles will go 12-4 this season, I might add. That's I'm not going that far, but I think last year listening to him, and I if I do remember correctly, I think he predicted a 10-6 season from the Philadelphia Eagles, but 12-4 I think is really pushing the luck this season. But nevertheless, it made the crowd the packed crowd in what was it, Victory Beer Hall, really excited there. People asking questions about this Eagles team and this and that. He said he made a suggestion that the Eagles, they could trade Mark Sanchez maybe for Andre Johnson out of the Houston Texans.
I agree.
Which would obviously help the Eagles receiving core, no doubt. There has been rumors that Mark Sanchez is trade bait, and as far as that goes, with Chip Kelly, I think he spoke the other day about upon being asked, and he said we'll listen to anything really. I mean, it's but so I don't know, but nevertheless, I mean, Sanchez also continuing to look pretty good in the preseason. Now again, he's not going to be starting over Nick Foles or anything like that, unless Foles just stinks it up in the regular season. I don't see that happening, but nevertheless, if Foles gets banged up a little bit here, at least Sanchez can be a decent backup for a game or two if need be. I think, but maybe not necessarily if Foles goes out in week 3 and for the season or something like that. But I don't see that happening. Now I was also again, I mean, met Sal Paolantonio there. You had of course you actually had Ron Jaworski there as well, who was I believe I think they had a main stage set up, and he was out there and had some things to say, and then I think he was helping out with some golf booth or something. It was just kind of like a big carnival sort of, in a sense. They had one of the highlights, and one of the highlights for me there was they had a car that was they had a Pittsburgh Penguins logo and a Dallas Cowboys logo towards the front headlights, and what they would do is they and again this was all free attendance here. They gave out tickets. They through their shows and online for free. That's how I got mine. They had a thing where you could hit the car with first. I think first they started it out with a baseball bat, and then I guess I heard somebody broke the bat reportedly. So then they started handing people a sledgehammer, and you get 3 shots at this car. And yeah, I mean, just so I went up and did that. I hammered the Dallas Cowboys logo and then the Penguins logo, and then just hit the middle of the hood. They gave you 3 shots at that. So that was entertaining. You know, speaking of that Brock Lesnar scream there, for those who don't know who that is, Brock Lesnar, again, I open the door to anything here. I mean, on this show, really. Obviously, I try to keep it, to what's going on in the Philadelphia sports world, what people are talking about. But for anybody who tuned into SummerSlam the other night, Brock Lesnar, the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, after albeit in scripted format, making easy work out of John Cena there, for those who saw it. Yeah. Of course, former UFC champion as well, and he was quite a college wrestler as well. He's got all kinds of college wrestling accolades as well before even going to the WWE over a decade ago. And of course, he tried his hand on the Minnesota Vikings, and I don't know, he kind of was like a Martellus Bennett in a way, and gotten scraps with the team, and in the preseason was kind of known for starting some brawls and this and that, and ended up getting cut, and then eventually went to the UFC and became UFC champion, and back in the WWE now, and now the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So for those who tune into SummerSlam, there you go. There's a discussion on that for the day. But again, I mean, going back to this Fantasy Fest, I mean, of course, probably the biggest name there was Eagles legend Brian Dawkins, who was there at the Fantasy Fest. Again, they had like this main stage set up outside, and me and my buddy Wayne, we got over to that stage pretty early before they were gonna do that. They had like a band playing, and there was space, like clear space right there to get up, front and center pretty much, where they were gonna introduce Brian Dawkins here. And first I believe they had one of the hosts, Harry Mays.
What is going on back there?
Yeah, they had Harry Mays up there, saying what was going on, some of the things they had going on, and then introducing Mike Missanelli up there.
Lindy, how you doing, man?
And Mike Missanelli would then go on to introduce Brian Dawkins coming up to the stage, and I did take a little video of it here, a couple minutes, kind of just like classic Brian Dawkins, of some of the things he had to say. So this is from my view, from my iPhone and the video that I put up. Let's listen a little bit to this, some of the audio of some of the things Brian Dawkins had to say as Mike Missanelli had a little live Q&A with him. Once this video.
Give us a fire, dog! Give us a fire! We're gonna do like a little Q&A here for the people, right? And look how smooth he's looking too with the hat today. I'm gonna retire the dusty, man. It makes you look good. Yeah, you're smooth. Brian, like you see this crowd right here, this is like a small part. It's my people. It is your people. This is a small part of what the Philadelphia is like to play for as an athlete in Philadelphia, and an athlete who's respected and worshipped, right? Tell the people what it is like to play with this kind of worship out there.
Listen, man, when I touched the field, and I knew they were going to act a fool, so I know I had to act a fool, but seriously, but when we step into that stadium on that field, there's electricity that would usually happen.
Put the pads back
feel on
on,
your
dog.
clothes. So I absolutely appreciated that every day. I'm telling you.
Put the pads back on, dog. Put them on. Put them back on. Come
When
back.
you first got drafted and came to Philadelphia, as a guy from South Carolina and went to Clemson, this is like a culture shock. You come up north, right? From Florida. Excuse me. Florida. But goes to school in South Carolina. Jacksonville, Florida. I'm sorry. What was it like to first set foot on Philadelphia soil? Man, you know what? When you come here, you hear a lot of bad stories, a lot of bad things. And for me, I've always been someone that I always try my best to not disappoint folk.
Never
and
did.
so when I first stepped on the field, practice field, my first thought was I don't want to let my coaches down. I do not want to disappoint them for drafting me in the first place. So I wasn't really thinking about the fans so much. I was really thinking about the team.
All right, now we're gonna have a Q&A with Brian Dawkins and Victory in the beer hall.
Come back!
Yeah, so there you go. That's like a 2-minute sample right there of some Brian Dawkins audio with Mike Missinelli up on the stage there at the Fantasy Fest to get with the all the fans there in attendance, right there in the palm of his hand. Really, I mean, you hear everybody put the pads back on, and he never let the Philadelphia fans down and this and that, and yeah, I mean theoretically, I mean, said this before, they after all these years, the past several years, they haven't been able to find that replacement to Brian Dawkins really on this defense, and that was pretty evident there. Everybody, a lot of people saying put the pads back on, or one or two guys actually, but everyone would kind of agree with that kind of statement there in attendance. So yeah, I mean that was good stuff there.
That was awesome.
And it was awesome event to be at. Of course, before we even got to the Xfinity Live, we went to the Rocky statue, up more in central Philadelphia. Of course, Philadelphia Art Museum. That's something that you go to Philadelphia. That's something that you have to, obviously check out at some point. Take the check off your bucket list. Run up the Rocky steps. There's like that little that stone in the where they have these Converse footprints and the word Rocky, and the visit to the Rocky statue where you obviously take a good picture with the statue. It was complete with a Stallone impersonator off on the side, doing some impersonations, and yeah, I mean, it was all right. He looked like Rocky too, like Stallone, pretty well. Maybe like in Rocky 5, I think he looked like, Rocky, during like maybe the Rocky 5 era, the early 90s. But of course, again, that statue there, I mean, decent history behind that statue, really. Of course, a little trivia here. When it was introduced in Rocky 3, it was introduced more like in the center of the of the museum steps there, in front of the museum. When in Rocky 3, when supposedly early on in the movie, when Rocky was saying maybe I should retire, and then of course that's when Mr. T kind of makes his breakout film debut.
Hey, woman!
Yeah, kind of just calling Rocky out. He's as Clubber Lang here, he's like this hungry fighter, and he's gonna he wants to beat down on Balboa before Balboa actually does retire, and eventually that fight happens, and Rocky loses the first one, and then he gets his edge back and wins the rematch against Clubber Lang, and played by Mr. T there. So, but yeah, I mean in that movie too, I mean is classic Mr. T there. I mean that he starts trying to hit on Adrian, Talia Shire playing Adrian there, and it just gets all personal, and yeah, I mean it's just classic stuff there. And again, it's something you have to do as a Philadelphia fan, or a Philadelphian in general. You take a trip to Philadelphia, you gotta visit the Rocky statue and climb up the Rocky, run up the Rocky steps, especially if you grew up turning into a Rocky fan like I did years ago, and becoming a fan of the movie series that is kind of a big part of the Philadelphia area, and of course, Rocky, the character Rocky himself, has made it onto one of Chip Kelly's play call signs, as we would learn in last year's preseason. And yeah, I mean, and then they got a cheesesteak sign as well, I think.
It was like sweet and sour pork, right?
They have a Big Bird sign. I don't know, as far as Chip Kelly's what some would call wacky play calling signs and all this and that, but I mean, that's so that's basically in a nutshell, what you got out of this Fantasy Fest. Of course, they even had like Eagles cheerleaders there. They had a girl walking around with a beer bazooka and this and that, and so it was all kinds of fun down there, and job well done by the 97.5, the Fanatic radio station, and the hosts that were there to carry out the event. So Facebook.com/Tyler Werner Show is how to get in on today's show. If you have any thoughts to share with this Eagles team in preseason, and whatever else is going on, with the Eagles and the NFC East in general, obviously, you got the Steelers this coming Thursday. We'll see what see how the starters perform in the first half, and again, probably no Tyler Werner Show next week. Although I'm entertaining the idea actually right now. I guess this is a bit of breaking news in a sense, of possibly maybe making this a two-man show, and maybe recruiting another KUR personnel who's obviously, Philadelphian down the board when it comes to sports teams, and having maybe like more of like a discussion on this show, and maybe even extending it to 2 hours. Given that there'd be more time for discussion with this, this Philadelphia Eagles season, and maybe it's less monologue for me, and as I'm just here alone in the station, kind of just doing all the talking myself, without a producer or anything. So maybe get some more discussion on here, since it's not too often we hear from people on the phone, obviously, on the station anyways, but at least maybe we can get some maybe some back and forth sports discussion on here on the Tyler Werner Show, and maybe make it a Tyler Werner and so show here, talking Philadelphia sports, at least for the fall season, and maybe after that. So that's an idea that I'm entertaining, and if anybody has any encouragement over that or reservations over that, you can always post your thoughts on that. But I think it'd be a cool idea to have at least a support voice on this show, even if I do most of the talking. I don't know, but yeah, that's what we're looking at right here. So it is the Tyler Werner Show, and it is right here on Kutztown Radio.
Are you looking to have your very own radio show? Do you like music or talking? Come join Kutztown University's very own radio club. We meet every Tuesday from 11 to 12, and we offer a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We hope to see you next semester.
¿Sabía usted que el 80% de los estudiantes de KU no beben en exceso?
Colgando carteles de nuevo. ¿Crees que ese cartel es realmente cierto?
Sí, es cierto. Soy una embajadora de la salud de KU y estoy familiarizada con el audit. Estudiantes de KU participan en el cribado de alcohol cada año. Utilizamos los exámenes de identificación de desorden del uso de alcohol. Esta es una forma sencilla de detectar e identificar las personas que están en riesgo de desarrollar problemas con el alcohol. Hemos aprendido que la mayoría de los estudiantes están tomando el cuidado de su negocio y centrarse en lo académico.
Parece que esta cosa de beber no es un gran problema. Puedo ver que esto es cierto, ya que la mayoría de mis amigos no beben.
¿Te gustaría conseguir un grupo de amigos para comer algo?
Suena muy bien. Mándame un mensaje por estéreo.
Kutztown Living, vecino a vecino.
Financiado con una donación a través de la tarjeta de control de licor de Pensilvania.
It's 3:43 right here on the Tyler Werner Show on Kutztown Radio, and I play this Led Zeppelin classic song because tomorrow not that I'm all excited and trying to get everybody excited over it, but tomorrow's my birthday, and I happen to share it with Robert Plant from the Led Zeppelin. Obviously one of the greatest bands of all time, and Robert Plant on the obviously on the Mount Rushmore of rock frontmen when you look at it. And also, if you want to talk football, as far as guys in the football world, and tomorrow is also John Gruden's birthday.
Spider 2Y banana.
Yeah, so I share as far as famous people I know that I share birthdays with, those two stick out in my mind right now. So, that's that. And, I was talking about Fantasy Fest earlier in 97.5, The Fanatic. It's a station that if you're on their email club and this and that, and you register to get tickets to Fantasy Fest. They're a station that they really throw you a bone. They threw me this birthday offer that in this email that I want to read here just for people's entertainment, I guess. It starts out here. It is. Hey Tyler, are you an August birthday baby? Would you like to celebrate with the sexiest ladies in the city? And I scroll down. Well, if you're lucky, you could win your very own exclusive open bar event for you and 9 of your friends, courtesy of Cheerleaders Philadelphia. Now it says here, you and 9 guests will receive a 2-hour open bar from 8 to 10 p.m., and the birthday boy will get a complimentary couch dance from the lady of his choosing. Yeah, listen to 97.5 for details every day, and you could be a winner. And yeah, the event will be Wednesday, August 20th, tomorrow. I mean, yeah, sure. That sounds like fun, but I don't know. I don't know how I'd win that. And then again, it's pretty short notice at this point. As far as I don't even. It's a bit of a drive from here, anyways. But for something like that, but there you go. That's I guess a radio station there that throws its listeners a bone there, and so for listeners' birthdays. So that's that. But getting back to the sports talk, I guess it's time that we do this regular segment of the show.
It's time for Tyler Werner's Call Out of the Week.
I just think somebody owes us an explanation, that's all. What's the matter with you? Loser! You're a loser! Are you kidding me?
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every word I have to say!
Yes, it is the Call Out of the Week right here in the Tyler Werner Show. It's that time. Who will it be this week? Well, last week it was Tiger Woods, of course, for those who listened. This week, it's got to be Johnny Manziel, a.k.a. Johnny Football, who last night in his preseason game against the Washington Redskins, he extended his middle finger toward the Washington Redskins bench after a third-quarter incompletion during Monday night's 24-23 preseason loss. We really care what the score of that game was. Manziel flipped the bird. That's kind of like the buzz phrase, I think, when it comes to, the middle finger nowadays. He flipped the bird toward the Redskins after the play that unfolded in front of Washington's bench. Manziel said he had words exchanged with the Redskins and that he should have been smarter. Duh. I felt like I did a good job of holding my composure throughout the night. And you have a lapse of judgment and slip up, Manziel said. So, that's really what we're looking at here. Now, this was his first touchdown pass in, any kind of professional football game. In this case, a preseason game against, we're in a quarterback battle with Brian Hoyer. And now I think Manziel finished 5 for 12 in this game or something, or was it 5 for 16? I don't know. I kind of just looked at highlights and again, this is a guy that's just he just continues to make that target on his back bigger and bigger. I mean, he's already a glorified immature NFL quarterback. I mean, but in this case, I mean, you flip the bird as they're saying, as people are saying more and more often nowadays at the bench after making one of few plays. And it was I think it was what was it? It was like a short little dump off pass that was mainly, I believe it was to Dion Lewis, who was a former Eagle a couple years ago, running back. This is against second, third teamers at this point.
What's the matter with you?
I mean, I don't know, but Johnny Manziel clearly has some growing up to do. Well, maybe not some, maybe 10 years worth of growing up to do, because sometimes, I mean, it just. It seems like he's, a 13-year-old out there. I mean, he's what? He's 22 years old, going on 12. It seems like. I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, it's Cleveland, and I look at things like this, and I'm kind of glad that the Eagles didn't take Johnny Manziel. Not to say that Manziel can't become a good quarterback in this league. I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback in this league, or maybe he'll be an average one at best. I don't know. I mean, he's got some growing up to do in his on-field play, and obviously his on-field demeanor as well, and not even off-field demeanor in general. So, he's got a lot of maturing to do on all fronts, and at the end of the day, I mean, I'd rather have Foles.
How's everyone doing?
I'd rather have Nick Foles, who seems to be he gets a microphone like that in a situation, and he comes off as a geek, but plays well. I'd rather have that than Johnny Manziel on the sideline flipping off the Redskins bench in a preseason game after a short dump off pass to Dion Lewis. So that's that. But nevertheless, I mean, speaking of this game, now that I guess I've ripped on Johnny Manziel enough, even though I think it's warranted ripping to do here, given that he flipped off the Redskins bench. This preseason game, of course, against the Washington Redskins, obviously a division rival here to the Philadelphia Eagles. I just watched some highlights, and I watch RG3, and he's like running up the sidelines, and I'm just I'm thinking, like, are you going to get out of bounds or what? And I don't know, I don't know if RG3 is going to make it to week 5 without getting some kind of injury or something. I don't know. I mean, I look at Foles and he holds on to the ball too long at times and this and that. But at least he tries to get rid of it, I guess, in time, and at least he's made attempts to get out of harm's way, even though he has a hard time doing that with slow speed. But I look throughout the division, and as far as like quarterbacking goes, and you look at Eli Manning, and now it's a small sample size, a couple drives here in the preseason, but for whatever reason he's 1 for 9 in the preseason, and Eli Manning, and trouble in Giantville, I guess you could say, and and now this past week, the Eagles, they had their joint practices with the New England Patriots, and I look at what's going on down in Dallas and wherever, I guess. They had joint practices with the Raiders this past week. I don't know how much you're going to benefit from playing with the Oakland Raiders. Scrimmage against them, I guess. But I don't know. That's I just find I don't know. I just find that a little ironic how the class. Next to the Denver Broncos, the class of the AFC, is who the Eagles do their joint practices with, even though maybe Kerry Williams would go and say that the Patriots are cheaters, and here the Dallas Cowboys are practicing with Oakland. So I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't, who cares? It's just practicing, but I don't know. I just find that a little funny. Now again, this defense for the Philadelphia Eagles, I looked at them. I said last week at the end of the show, I mean, they're going to get torn apart, and that's obviously that's a main concern for this team this year. Is the defense of this team, and that's kind of a concern across the board with the division in general. I mean, obviously the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't know. I mean, there's some pluses to this team. I look in some areas like the tight ends, although the receiving core, can they stay healthy? I mean, Riley Cooper, hasn't gotten banged up as much in the past as Jeremy Maclin, with these little injuries. I mean, Riley Cooper's at least a bit more of a physical receiver, I think. But you talk about reliability, and that's something you're going to want out of this receiving core. And Jordan Matthews showed some promise, but I don't know. But I wanted to share this article, some ideas from this one article last week with the Eagles, coming out of ESPN, about the Philadelphia Eagles sports side. It's just some interesting stuff that I think we'll close the show on. And since I brought up Rocky earlier, I want to speak to this over a bed of that training montage music from Rocky IV. When Rocky's training in the the winter environment, and Ivan Drago is training with all this technology, and just because I think it's funny here that kind of there's some like parallels to the Eagles and this sports science thing, and technology that was kind of state of the art in this in that movie. But let me just give some basic thoughts here to this, this epic backdrop of music. Now, of course, I brought up in the past how sleep is something that this organization, is really focused on. They want 10 to 12 hours. I don't know, something like, I heard 10 hours. I've heard other accounts 11 and 12. They apparently have the players wear these wristbands as they sleep at night, and somehow it monitors like how good of a night, how good they slept last night. And apparently last week, they monitored a day where LaShawn McCoy he wasn't quite up to speed as well as you'd normally expect of him, and he that day they went back to this sleep log and realized he didn't have the best night of sleep last night. However they figure that out with a wristband, I don't know, but that's a little look into that. Now they have them, the players. They hydration is another key element to this whole sports science thing. Yeah, rightfully so. Especially in these hot days of summer, which aren't as hot this year, but they monitor. They have players, urinate in a cup, and they figure out how well hydrated the guys are, the players, based on these urine samples, I guess you could say, and quite some interesting stuff there. As far as this whole Eagles sports science thing, really, and so there you go. That's some interesting sports science stuff coming out of the NovaCare complex with the Philadelphia Eagles organization. How effective it is, remains to be seen. I mean, this is a team that was pretty healthy last year. We'll see how healthy they can stay, throughout this coming season. Although, there's guys like Jeremy Maclin maybe just have a history of getting banged up here, but hopefully, we'll see what happens with this game on Thursday. Hopefully no injuries or anything like that. Hopefully this team can head into the regular season as a healthy unit, and not be losing players before the season even starts. So, with that in mind, that'll wrap things up today for the Tyler Werner Show. Again, next week probably won't be on, but maybe, hopefully the week after that, before the regular season starts for the NFL, that should be when we regroup here in the Tyler Werner Show. And, who knows, maybe it'll be with a co-host, or at least, a support voice. I don't know. But stay tuned on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Tyler Werner Show. I encourage you to, like that page and stay tuned on that page for information and, so whenever the show re-airs again here on Kutztown Radio. So thanks for tuning in as always, and we'll talk to you whenever I'm back here on Kutztown Radio.
It's the top of the hour, and you're listening to the radio voice of Kutztown University, KUR Kutztown, found on campus at 1670 AM. Throughout eastern Berks County is the audio backdrop of KU TV Service Electric Berks Channel 24, Service Electric Lehigh Channel 266, and Hometown Utilicom Cable Channel 28. Anywhere in the world, streaming live at kutztown.edu/KUR. On your smartphone by downloading an app like TuneIn, and on any phone, cell, or landline simply by dialing 610-465-7860. We are the radio voice of Kutztown. KUR Kutztown.
KUR can also be heard in select campus buildings like the MSU, Rickenbach, Stratton, Rec Center, and Keystone at 88.3 FM.
Nominated for Best College Radio Station at an institution with under 10,000 enrollment and winner of Best Use of Social Media, your news leader in northeastern Berks County, KUR Kutztown.
The KUR news time is the top of the hour. I'm Mike Regensberger. With just under a week away until the campus is once again bustling with close to 10,000 students with the beginning of the fall semester, KU is preparing for move-in day traffic. Nearly 1,900 students will be arriving on the campus of KU Saturday. Students are scheduled to arrive between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Kutztown Road will be closed between Luckenbill Road and College Boulevard during that time. Drivers should expect heavy traffic in and around the university, including routes routes 222 and 737. Motorists not involved with move-in day are encouraged to avoid the area if possible. KUR will keep on top of this story, and as always, please make sure you like our social media Facebook page at Kutztown University Radio or on Twitter at KU Radio for updates as move-in day progresses in just a few short days. Checking KUR Sports, KUR would like to remind you, speaking of the fall semester, we will be your exclusive source for all KU Golden Bears football away games here on KUR, local games on our friends at WLVT PBS Channel 39 out of Bethlehem.
Eraser. Live in the Violet Flame Tour